Hey everyone, welcome to the Lucas On podcast. Today is a conversation with Josh Alford, who is a New Zealand-based, Christchurch-based content creator, TikToker, on Rap Talk, so the rap and hip-hop side of TikTok, which is super interesting. He's seen a massive amount of success on there. He has over 270,000 followers as of the time of recording. And in this conversation, we talk about a lot of things. We talk about all the different connections he's made in the industry, a lot of the strategy and thinking that goes into his TikToks and his interviewing techniques when he's done interviews, and kind of his relationship with himself and his fans and the other people who kind of work in his space. So it's all very interesting. If you want to check out Josh, you can find him on TikTok at Josh Alford _. So that's JOSH.ALFORD _. But I'm sure you'll just be able to search up his name and find him. And of course, that will link off to his Instagram and everything. I hope you enjoy this conversation. I had a great time sharing it. I really appreciate Josh for being the first one to kind of put up his hand and agree to be on this new kind of style of podcast I'm doing. So, yeah, enjoy. Thank you. I'm all ready for this.
And the Starbucks coffee for us, the aesthetic.
Wow, yeah, don't talk to me until I've inside my morning coffee, bro. Don't talk to me. Okay, wow. Let's get into it, yeah?
Yeah, straight up.
So,
I have this problem as well.
Yeah.
When I'm like, your first question, you're just like, how do you start this?
Yeah.
Like, it's always, yeah. I did one with if you usually just intros work the best for me, I find.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh yeah, we're doing this. I'm with this person, and then you're like, how are you doing? And then you just kind of start. You kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Usually the easiest way.
Yeah.
But like whatever works for you, man. It's like you're interviewing an interviewer. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm worried you're gonna turn it back on.
I might. Hey, like you do content as well, so like I can always like throw it back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I wanted to value your time. And kind of ask questions that potentially you haven't answered or aren't going to answer other places, or that aren't like obvious by looking at.
I mean, to be fair, you can still, because what I find is if you have like questions that you think like, oh, this could be kind of lame, it's always good to just like throw them in the middle just for like airtime, because otherwise like if you ask me a bunch of really cool questions and like I could answer all of them in like 15 minutes and then you're done.
Yeah.
Like that's always a thing.
You gotta have some filler in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I usually do. You start with something real basic about the person, and then you just kind of throw in a curveball and then you go back to like basic for a bit, because interviewing is, you're never really gonna be like a Nardwar. Like no one's ever gonna be that motherfucker, except for when I did one podcast where Herman knew the guy and I didn't know that, and so Herman threw a bunch of personal stuff in there.
Yeah.
And so he asked me that, and I was like, "How the fuck do you know that?" Like it was real weird.
That's funny.
Oh, shit, yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's a good way to prank you.
Yeah, exactly. It got me pretty good there.
Do you feel like that's your approach to making content on TikTok as well? Because you put out like a lot of like content, right? And they all kind of follow like a similar format.
Yeah,
you
structure.
kind of pose a question at the start and then you kind of answer it.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you're thinking about your publishing schedule as well, where you'll have like a video that's kind of like answering a wacky question, talking about someone's car or something like that's kind of out of pocket, and then in between them you're kind of putting in like more normal ones?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, you definitely have like series that you do, and so I kind of like to have like, say, something weird, like something you might not have known, and then you kind of just go back to like usual structure, and then like there'll be like a promo video, and then it's like, and then I usually throw in like one video a week where it's like, I know that it's going to get a lot of views because people don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually how I try to do it. You know?
Oh, so is that what you find? Like, if people aren't talking about it, it gets more views?
Yeah, definitely. I talk a lot about old stuff as well. Like, I talked about Billie Eilish dedicating a song to XXXTentacion, and that was in 2018 or 17.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen anyone talk about it in years, so it's kind of, you just like throw it back into the media, and then people kind of pick up on it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Usually, I don't talk a lot about new stuff, because I see a lot of people talk about, oh, this is happening right now, this is happening, and it gets a lot of views, but I just can't be bothered talking about it, because it doesn't interest me that much, so it's kind of like, just, nah, no point,
That's really interesting. Do you feel like when you're talking about people that aren't as hip-hop, like Billie Eilish, there tends to be, like, you tend to get more people from the outside coming in?
I would say it's kind of less, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah, because with Instagram, like I posted the same video and I got like 50k on Instagram, then I only got like 5 on TikTok. And so like my TikTok page is only catered to hip hop. And so when I like throw in like a pop video, the algorithm's like, well, none of your viewers want to watch this.
Right.
And so unless it's like something that I can make mega viral, then it doesn't really do well, no. So I'm kind of like stuck myself in a niche. Like, it's like if you stopped doing street interviews and you did something else, the algorithm would be like, oh, well, this isn't his normal content, so what do we do with this?
It's almost like you're starting again.
Yeah, and then if, like, your followers see it, they might also be like, oh, like, this isn't a straight interview, which is what I wanted to watch. Yeah, so that's kind of how it goes,
Have you ever thought about, like, doing something different?
I'm going to be doing a lot in Auckland. I'm going to be doing some street interview stuff. I used to do it in lines at concerts, but I find that I did one with Denzel Curry's one, which he saw, and his label like reposted and everything, and that did well. But at the same time, it really depends on the crowd. I know you probably have nights where it's probably just like, man, this was like not worth my time. Like, I have just spent an hour trying to get something interesting out of these people, and I've gotten nothing. So it's really hard with street interviews, definitely.
Yeah. How did you even find yourself doing the type of content that you're doing in the first place? Did it evolve from something else?
Yeah, so I started with vinyl videos, so like, you know, like the records, turntables and stuff. I started with that in 2020, and I did that for about 6 months, I think, and my second video got like 400k, and I was like, okay, I can probably like make this a big thing. And so I did that, 6 months, and it got pretty, I think I got about to 30k followers. Okay. And I had like some Norwegian newspaper interview me about, it was real weird, man. It was like some Norwegian person just hit me up, I'm like, oh, I'm doing a thing about vinyls, I want to get your like TikTok page in on it, so I did that. But after a bit, trends seemed to die, and it was lockdown era, so everyone was like trying to find hobbies to do, and they were like, vinyl, that's a cool hobby, I'm gonna do that. And after the 6 months and like lockdown starts and people start leaving their homes, then like vinyls aren't really a priority anymore. Yeah. And so after that, the page died, and I had no idea what to do. And I was like, well, I like the music that I'm posting, so I'm just gonna turn that into me saying, oh, yo, this is some cool songs I like. And it transferred pretty easily because the vinyls I had were hip hop, and so the same fans saw I was making hip hop content, and so I just transferred into that. And then I did a series of like artist moments, like montages. You know those videos you see of like artists doing funny stuff, and there's like captions? Yeah. I did that for a while. Okay. And then I got that to about 100k. Yeah. And then that started to bore me because it was like, I wasn't really, like, it was just my face for like 2 seconds being like, funny little Uzi Vert moment, and then it cuts to the video. And so then I did, basically, have you seen Masked Mortal? Have you heard of that guy?
No, I don't think so.
He's got like 5 mil. Okay. And basically all you do is you just like songs that like have the same name. And then that would be my intro, and then I show you 3 songs. And that's basically how I got into music creation. Like, and then that's why people started watching me, is because I put people onto like new music they hadn't heard before. Yeah. And now I got bored of that because a lot of TikTok creators have like told me this, is that people don't follow them for their personality, they follow them just because like it's a quick like 15 seconds of dopamine, and they're like, oh, yo, cool, like there's a song for me. And so now I've moved into like talking for a good like 30 seconds or something, and like actually giving you a reason why you should listen to the song. And it means you have more freedom, like you can talk about random stuff like, oh, this is my favorite car from this artist, and it's kind of all worked pretty well, and now I'm at where I am now. Yeah.
So where does that put you in kind of the timeline then? Were you like quite early on in TikTok?
Yeah, 2020. 2020 when I
okay.
started. I only started taking seriously in about 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when stuff started happening. Like I was getting cosigns from like the SIDEMEN, like just random people, like Lil Nas X commented on my videos.
Yeah.
It was real weird. Like I was getting like 2 million views on every video for like a good like 2 months, because everyone has their moment on TikTok.
Yeah.
And so I was having my moment.
Right.
And so I was just pumping out content every day, just getting like millions of views.
Yeah.
And one of the funniest things that happened out of that was there was an artist called Armani White, and he had a song called Billie Eilish that he was releasing. And I posted a video to it, and I got like 500k, and he was like, yo, could you do another one? I know he hit up a lot of other TikTok content creators, and so all of us were just making videos on this guy, and the song blew up, and it's got like 300 million now.
Yeah.
And then 2 months ago, Billie Eilish brought him out on stage to perform.
Right?
And it's just like, and watching that, it's just like, you played, I played a small part in this moment, but it's like, you feel so crazy because you're like, wow, like, all of that turned into this.
Yeah.
Like, so that's like a whole full circle moment for me, and I know a lot of other creators who helped him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn. So where does that kind of, because I imagine like dealing with moments like that and seeing like the kind of attention your stuff gets, like people commenting on it, like what's kind of your ambition to like leverage that for whatever you want to do next? Because, you know, as you said, it's like everyone has their moment on TikTok. I assume, you know, kind of like Instagram, TikTok's kind of in its moment right now. Yeah. And we'll start seeing the attention on it go down, and maybe another social platform or whatever is going to come through. So it's like, you know, what's your next move?
At the moment, I've started working for Sniffers. I'm doing interning there. So Sniffers are a New Zealand rap magazine, and they were the first people like cover Gunna and Tory Lanez, like front photo cover, all that. And so they've been around for about 8 or 9 years now. Yeah. And I know the manager, the owner of it. And so I connected with him about a month ago, and because we're mates. And I knew that they weren't posting reels, they weren't doing a TikTok page. The TikTok had like 100 followers. And so I was like, yo, I'd love to just, like, you don't have to pay me, I just want to do it. Yeah. Like, because I want to build more connections and also learn more, because you can learn a lot from being in the actual industry. Yeah. Because TikTok music, it's cool to get rappers messaging you stuff, but you're still by yourself. Like, you don't have many connections or anything. Yeah. And so I thought, I really want to try and like help a media page. And so in a week, we've gotten, I got them 1,000 followers, and we got like first, I think it's like 600k video in a week, and we got Anthony Fantano to duet one of our videos.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, because he follows me, and he's already done like a duet with me. Yeah. But then the fact that I managed to get it to another account as well, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, I like that I've been able to do that twice now. Yeah. So yeah, at the moment I'm just doing stuff for them. That's really fun and rewarding, and they're really nice to me. Yeah, Dan's a real good guy. So that's what I want to do at the moment, and hopefully some interviews and stuff, some TikTok interviews with artists. That's going to be cool. But yeah, at the moment, I'm not too sure, because TikTok does pay its way. But there's no like big brand I want. At the moment, I just want to use the followers that I've got to give me leverage to just kind of create moments and memories with artists and just meet some cool people. Because if you get to like meet your favorite artist, like that's a cool moment. Oh yeah. And I always wanted to just meet them organically, not the way you pay $250 to get a VIP line. Yeah. And then you get like your 15 seconds. They're like, oh, you're a fan. I want to have that moment where they know who I am and they like respect what I do, and so you can just have like an organic moment. Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty much what I'm doing. That's what it's for. Okay. Yeah. So I suppose it makes you a lot less, I don't know if it's like a nice thing to say, but a lot less like forgettable. I imagine those like the fans that pay money to go hang out for a bit and then it's good, you know, maybe you remember their faces, but it's less of like a real like human. Yeah, exactly. Connection. Yeah, no, the random interactions where you can just be like, oh yo, I know your manager, like I do this, here's a video I made on you, and they're like, oh yo, that's awesome, like, and it's a nice way to connect. Yeah, it's really cool. So who's your dream connection? I have 3. I have 3. So I wanna meet and interview. If I can interview them, that would be sick. I wanna meet Ski Master Slump God, Lil Yachty, and Lil Skies. That's my only 3. I don't care about anything else. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's all I want. Yeah. I legit started doing TikTok because I wanted to meet Ski Mask. Yeah. And so because as a kid, I really wanted. There was like a band I liked, and I was like, man, I'd love to meet them. Like, I think everyone thinks about it as a kid. They have like that dream. They're like, man, if I got to like meet them, I wonder what I'd say and stuff. And then for me, it was like, I want to make that happen. Yeah. So this is what I'm gonna do to try and make that happen. And if it doesn't work, well, oh well. So yeah, Rolling Loud is coming to New Zealand soon. So hopefully Ski Mask is coming soon. Yeah. So might make that happen.
That'd be a good opportunity.
That'd be sick. That'd be really cool. Yeah, I'd be pretty hyped for that.
Okay, well, I guess talking about like your relationships, it's kind of like kind of a wacky question. But even just in the small amount of success that I've seen on TikTok, like walking around Christchurch, I've been like noticed like quite a lot, and like people come up to me. And it's been like, a million positive interactions. Yeah. But then also kind of, there's been some negative ones as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like for every person that comes up and is like, oh, your videos are fucking funny, keep it up. There's also like, we went out for like a friends and family dinner for someone's birthday at like a pizza place. And I was like kind of nice and fancy. And, this guy just like comes up and like grapples me from behind and like starts, Snapchatting, like doing like an interview, like doing my bit, blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, it was like super socially uncalibrated.
Yeah.
And like, at first it was like, okay, yeah, I see what you're doing, but it just got like super uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
But I feel like I've done a really good job and made like a conscious effort to, like, I just understand that it like tomorrow it could like all go away. And so I feel like it really hasn't affected the way I feel about myself or the way that I'm moving at all. So I guess just kind of my question is like, have you experienced like people recognizing you?
Yeah. It never happened in Christchurch. Actually happened at Christchurch once. Yeah. Because we had Little Bubblegum and Sempra in mono. Yeah. And those are my best mates. Yeah. And they had a show. And so I was in the crowd just supporting Luke. I was like, yeah, go man. And then some kid like tapped me and he was like, wait, you're that guy? I was like, yeah. And they're like, why are you here? And I'm like, well, you can see my friend is on the stage. Yeah. He's like, oh, nice. And they just like walked away.
I like the idea of someone being like, why are you at a hip-hop show?
Like, why are you at a Little Bubblegum show? It's like, you've seen me interview this guy. Yeah. We have like heaps of interactions online. Yeah. So of course I'm going to be here. But I'm not going to lie, I do not get recognized in Christchurch. Like, ever. Never happened to me. Yeah. Auckland, like most festivals and concerts, people know who I am. Yeah. And so they're like, oh, yo, what's up? Because to be fair, my content is to music. So if I'm not getting recognized at concerts, there's something wrong. Yeah. But no, not much on the street. Like Auckland a few times. But again, I'm pretty much not known as a New Zealand content creator because my niche is like this small and it's all Americans and there's me. Like there's no one in New Zealand or Australia doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Like it's just because New Zealand is known for like skits. I'd pretty much say skits. Yeah, you're right. And like the New Zealand humor is the only thing that can propel anyone on any platform. Like you have Oos Gang, like Jimmy Jackson, all those guys, Uncle Tix. Mm-hmm. Like they're all crushing at what they're doing, but there's no one like doing music. No, so that was kind of like the void I wanted to fill. But no, I haven't had any bad interactions. People have come up to me and like, are you from South Auckland? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, where do I know you from? I was like, TikTok. And then they kind of sit there for a second and they're like, oh, nice, big numbers guy. And they walk away. And that was the weirdest interaction I've ever had. I was like, I don't know if he actually watched me on TikTok, but he knew me from somewhere. So I don't know. Yeah, other than that, no bad experiences yet.
What's your like meeting people that a lot of people would do a lot to me and like having interactions. People have online interactions with rappers or their favorite celebrity and it's a massive moment for them. So that kind of like becoming normalized. What's your relationship, I guess, like with your ego, like in like a masculine way? You know what I mean? Because I feel like sometimes we let these things kind of hype us up. And,
Yeah.
I'm the fucking best and blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
like, how do you find it? How do you feel about yourself going through all these experiences?
I would say not much. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really talk about my TikTok very often to any of my personal friends.
Yeah.
It's usually like them coming up to me being like, oh, how's the TikTok going? Because my friends eventually found out what I was doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't say because for me, comparing myself to my American friends, they are crushing it. They are doing some insane stuff. And I think that's good for me because it keeps myself very grounded. It's like, I'm not going to be able to do what they're doing. Like my friend Imwell hosted Rolling Loud, which is one of the biggest hip hop shows ever.
Yeah.
And bro was just walking around with all the artists like backstage with Trippie Redd and stuff. And then I'm just sitting here like, I'm never going to do that. So like I need to not be thinking that I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I find that New Zealand, a lot of people, I mean obviously like Tall Poppy syndrome, everyone thinks that they're that person.
Yeah.
And I found that a lot, especially with my friend Bubblegum, because bro is one of the biggest artists in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Like I think he's 1.6 million monthly listeners, like 90 million streams on a song. And bro is the most down-to-earth guy I've ever met. Like, so genuine, especially Semper as well. Both of those guys, so down-to-earth. But then I'll meet artists with, like, 300 followers on Instagram, and these guys think I owe them the world.
Yeah,
and it's like, yo, make a video on me. I'm like, what do I have, like, what do you have to give me in return for me spending, like, an hour or two out of my time, posting it to my followers, and, like, what do you have to give me? They're like, oh, nothing? It's like, well, then what do I owe you? Yeah, it's a funny thing because I do music mainly, and everyone knows me for a music creator who works with artists in America.
Yeah.
But no one in New Zealand knows who I am. Like, especially artists. Like, New Zealand artists will come up to me and be like, oh, hi, you're like the writer or something. Like, you helping out backstage. Like, no, I'm actually just here because this is like what I do for a job. And they're like, oh. And then they're usually pretty surprised by like what I actually do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What like would be the criteria? I suppose if you're talking to like one of these artists, like the local artists that like big up themselves, who are like, you should make a video on me, and you're like, oh, you don't have anything to offer me.
Yeah.
What kind of would you be looking for? For someone to be interesting enough, or like polarizing enough.
I think first would be how you carry yourself as a person. Yeah. If you and I can have a great interaction first off, and I think that you're a good person, like you and I get along well, and like you're a friend, like I'll make a video on you.
Yeah.
Like if you're my mate, I'll do it. And also if you have good music, like if I don't like your music, I won't promote it. Like that's pretty much just me. Like if I don't like it, why would I tell other people to listen to it?
Yeah.
There have been a lot of artists that have sent their music from America and stuff. And like, look, man, I think like you definitely have a good sound, but it's personally not for me. Like it's like if they told you to make like a video on like death metal, it's like I don't like this music. Like it doesn't matter how good you are at your genre, I don't like it, so I'm not gonna promote it. But no, there's been a few like small New Zealand artists that I've promoted because I just like what they do and I like who they are. But other than that, like it's even when it comes to money, if I don't like it, I'm not gonna take your money to promote it. It's not worth it for me.
Do you think that you're gonna probably end up working more with smaller independent artists through your work at Sniffers?
I don't know. We'll see. Because at the moment, I just make content for them. Like I just make the videos I'm making now, and at the moment, that's all I want to do for them.
Yeah.
And they have crazy like they're always onto like everyone in New Zealand.
Yeah.
They're always promoting New Zealand artists like Varna and Vile and so many others.
Yeah.
So they're pretty onto it. But I hope that like when people see that I also like am sort of associated with them, that they can come to me and like send their music my way, because I love listening to music and I love supporting New Zealand artists. So if you have music and I like it, I will try and help you if I can. Yeah, that's pretty much my goal with New Zealand artists. The main thing that usually stops small like New Zealand artists is like work ethic. That's for sure. Like guys will be dropping like one song a year, and it's like, and then they wonder why it doesn't go well. It's like, well, because you drop one song. Like you can't just. It's not like a For You page on Spotify. Like you don't go on Spotify and there's like a For You page of like new music that's come out. Like all of us use Spotify, and we usually just go to our like songs, and that's it. We're not really trying to find much new stuff. But it's you've got to really be like a social media marketing person if you want to like go up in music, and also just dropping consistently is good as well, and finding your sound and niche.
How often are you reading the comments?
Not much.
Yeah.
After I do this thing, which I love because I get bored of like my comments.
Yeah.
So I do this thing where I make a video on Kodak Black and I just hate on him, and I did that a few weeks ago, and it got like 1.5 mil on Instagram. And I think I got sent about like 30 death threats. It was so fun. Like everyone's just like, this white boy doesn't know anything about rap music. He's like, this is why white people should stick to country. And I'm like, yeah, it's so fun. You can just like, it was like, I think it was like 8,000 comments, and I was just sifting through them, just like hearting my favorite ones. And I just reply, I was like, yeah, man, I love country music, eh? Yeah.
What do you think it is about hip hop and rap that makes people so passionate? Because that always happens. Someone goes, Nicki Minaj is whack, and then in the comments it's like, fuck you, Bob's Army, blah blah blah. And then the other side, someone will post like a thing where it's like, Nicki Minaj, the number one all-time female rapper, and they're like, fuck you, you're underappreciating Cardi, and it's like, oh my god, there's so much like fire and passion.
Yeah, I think with hip hop, that's a different, I would say it's very different to the pop genre, is that with underground rap, it all starts with SoundCloud. And the SoundCloud is where all those people who like want to like really care about finding like underground music and being like different.
Yeah.
They really want to find those like small artists. And I think that's what's great about SoundCloud in a way, is because people on there want to find like new talent. They don't want to keep listening to like Playboy Cardi, Drake, and all the usuals. Yeah. And so when they find their artist and then they finally start coming to the mainstream and they finally like make it and all like the new fans come along, then they just start like gatekeeping pretty much and just hating on everyone else. And so when there's like people like NLE Chopper, like I remember listening to him when he was super small, and now he's like what he is now, and you just have a heap of basic fans. People are incredibly passionate to let you know that they were like there at the start and like where that person came from. I think it's definitely the underdog finally makes it sort of situation with hip hop, and that's a lot of the artists like we've seen, like Ken Carson, Destroy Lonely, all these guys who are like blowing up now. And we were all there when they were really small, like going to like underground shows. I got my mates in America where like Ken Carson was performing for like 100 people, and now this year like hit like on Rolling Loud and Wireless with like 50,000 people watching. It's like it makes a lot of fans feel like a lot of passion.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So I'm just trying to think where to take that. I guess, do you feel like what do you feel like guys like us with our kind of identity, because there is kind of like a culture of like young white dudes being into hip-hop, which we like looking from the outside in like probably shouldn't make that much sense. You know what I mean? It's a black art form. A lot of the lyrics and styles come from like black culture, but there is this whole like, I mean, it's so much of the machine is powered by like young white guys, you know what I mean? You look at a Kanye concert and it's dudes like me, beautiful morning, you know what I mean? Like, and I love it, but what do you think it is about like hip hop that appeals to us?
I feel like we just wanted to be different, eh? I think that a lot of white kids, we've grown up, like I grew up with rock music, like Pink Floyd, AC/DC, all that. And when I was about like 16, my little brother played Look at Me by X. And that was when that song first like released.
Yeah.
And you just heard it, and it was just like this complete different song. And I remember I played it like for my mates, and everyone there was like, oh, I hate this. And for some reason, everyone hating the song that I was playing like made me just enjoy it more, because it was like, yo, I'm different. Like, I'm different. And it's, if you look at like all the rap talk creators, like me, Culture Bidite, One Track, like we're all white dudes. We're just participating in this culture. Like this isn't our culture. We're just kind of here for the ride. I don't know, man. It's a weird thing. I definitely say there's more white rap talk creators than colored ones, because we just, I don't know. It's weird. I feel like we just want to be different.
Interesting.
And we've just really taken this and we've just kind of made it part of our identity. I guess it's because we kind of like, we just really want to be different from all like the pop listeners and stuff. I know that's what I wanted as a kid, because everyone was listening to pop music and rock music, and I just wanted to listen to something else. And I think in New Zealand, a lot of people here just go to DMB. And so now DMB is just like the mainstream now. Like DMB is heavy mainstream now. Like if you listen to rap music in New Zealand, I feel like that's still very different.
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot of people who like rap music.
Yeah, no, that's true. Interesting. What is rap and hip hop like personally like mean to you? Is it just the aspect of you want it to be different and that's kind of what you latched onto? Or are you like a big like lyricism guy? You're a big speed guy? Like what about hip hop do you like personally connect with?
I think the culture for one is an amazing thing. I love that you can have an artist who has, say, a mic that's 10 times worse than this one and a laptop in their bedroom, and they can be grinding for years, and then they'll be playing in front of 50,000 people.
Right.
And the fact that it's so, and from like 2015 onwards, it was so like all over the internet that you could just watch this person coming up and just getting better and better and better, and finally getting to that point where it's like you're watching a whole movie. Like with pop artists, like no one was watching Dua Lipa's like her in her bedroom or something. Like you just see she's on a label and suddenly she has this brand new song that comes out and she's massive. Yeah. And it's like, there was no story. It was like, I think the story is the most important thing to me. There's so many artists where there's like a story of how someone came up, like X. He was a small artist, and then Xavier Wolf, who was like one of the first rappers on SoundCloud, put him on a podcast with No Jumper, and that's one of their biggest videos ever, and then X propelled to where he is now.
Yeah.
It's like there's a story, there's a connection, there's a relationship building, and then there's like where it goes. And you have people like Dua Lipa where it's just, not to hate on Dua Lipa, I love her music, but like when you listen to it, it's just the music. You're not in love with the artist. There's not much there of the artist. Like we don't know much about Dua Lipa. Like realistically, if you're like, what's her backstory? It's like,
interesting.
Yeah, not much. Like they made a whole documentary on X, and he was in the music scene for like 3 years.
Yeah,
like you have
such an impact.
You have a whole life and impact in the span of 3 years, and then and the only time they ever made they made an Elvis Presley documentary after X. And then that guy died years ago.
Yeah,
to be fair, there's probably a lot of lawyers and stuff going through that one.
Yeah.
But you still have a small artist who was just had a Blue Yeti mic, and he did all that in the span of 3 years. I think that's the most important thing to me, pretty much. Just this story.
If let me tell you a take. Maybe it's a hot take that I just thought of, and you can tell me if you agree or not. Do you think that the difference between kind of pop artists or just artists, I suppose in general, outside of hip hop, and then the ones that go on to be to become superstars, to transcend that, is their ability to tell that origin story in the same way hip hop naturally does? If you think about Taylor Swift, people intensely follow her relationships, her life, her breakups, now her struggle with the guy who owned the rights to her music, and so now we have Taylor's version, and it's almost crafting a very similar kind of origin. And just thinking about other artists who I feel have kind of transcended, what would be just another artist on Spotify, as opposed to kind of a cultural icon. It's as you said, the Elvis, I feel people watch the Elvis documentary and they come out and they feel more connected to Elvis. Yeah,
definitely.
And it's just maybe these artists just didn't storytell and broadcast. Yeah. That they also had kind of this rags to riches story. Yeah. And the way that hip hop, because I feel in hip hop a lot of times, in the music itself, they go, I started with nothing. Yeah. Remember when I was doing this, when I made this first album, I was like, you know what I mean? And so I feel they explicitly say it. They paint a picture of these are my rags, here are my riches. You can see it in real time on my Instagram. I feel
yeah, that's a good point. I think that is actually a good take, because realistically, pop music is pretty much made for love and like happy feeling good music.
Yeah.
And there's like kind of no in between.
Yeah.
But like with hip hop, it's specifically storytelling or just rapping about whatever they have. So I think, in that sense, you are very correct. Like it is pretty much, if you're listening to like just any song from someone that like, I used to sit on my mum's couch, now I got this chain. It's like, oh, okay, well, obviously you slept on your mum's couch at some point, so I know that. Yeah, that's a good perspective, definitely.
We don't know what couches Dua Lipa be sleeping on.
No, exactly.
I'm sure she's sleeping on couches as well.
I'm sure she had to sleep on one couch in her life at least. Like, she just ain't sing about it.
Yeah, she doesn't
drop the album.
What do you think so much of like hip hop culture is about things other than like the music? You know, as you were talking about earlier, sometimes your TikToks are not about, you know, this album or the song or the lyrics are about, you know, here's Gunna's new car. You know, check out these sweet shoes they put out. I feel like there's massive culture around shoes and basketball and chains and cars.
I feel like style aesthetically especially is a massive thing. That's what I love about hip hop culture, like the fashion. It's so interesting and unique, especially with I don't know if you know about like Opium and Playboy Cardi, but like it's this whole thing that's happening in kids nowadays. Everyone's buying Rick Owens shoes, which is like, these shoes cost like $2,000 for a pair, and they just look like Converse.
Yeah.
They're just chunky Converse.
Yeah.
And like Prada, the Balenciaga, everyone's wearing black now, and it's just like this opium era. And all that happened was that Playboy Cardi just started wearing it and screaming on stage, and suddenly all these kids have just taken what he's doing. They're like, I'm gonna do that when I get home. And so you see all these white kids, and everyone's just wearing chains, like 15-year-olds just wearing chains and like $2,000 shoes, and all because of one artist. And I know when Travis Scott and A$AP Rocky were popping off, like everyone was wearing flannel shirts and like Jordan 1s, and they had like the bandanas hanging out of their pockets. And also like Tyler the Creator, like everyone's wearing Vans and like cuffed jeans and all that. Yeah. And it's just, like it's stylistically, it's just always about like the fashion is like one of the most important things, I think. Definitely. And also the cars, money, blah, blah. Yeah. You know, like the usual. Yeah. But yeah, I think aesthetically, like rap is so interesting that a whole sound and artist can change what people wear. They have these photos on Instagram where it's like this album changed me, and it's like the album cover and a tent. It's like these basic people walking, and they come out and then they're wearing like whatever that album was. So it's like Lil Peep, and like people come out wearing like fishnet shirts and like high boots and like ripped jeans, and it's like the punk era, like when there was this punk or like rock, like people wear like leather jackets and all that, and I think we also have that for hip hop.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Do you feel like it's so different than, I suppose, the pop crowd and stuff, because a lot of that is like, I feel like merch table culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, with the pop music, because especially, like, you have Taylor Swift, and she has, like, 8 different wardrobe changes during her set. Yeah. And they're all, like, they're made just for her. It's just an outfit just for her. Yeah. And only she has it. And also you've got, I think it was for, I can't remember what music video it was. She has, like, a blue dress, and it's got, like tethers all over it. And I know that a lot of Taylor Swift fans have like recreated that dress and like worn it at her concerts and all that. But like if you go to like Dua Lipa or something, they have this amazing dress or amazing like outfit, and you're not going to be able to buy that when you go home. Right. And so everyone just kind of shows up in like, I guess their best dress, like they try to look nice, but everyone's just kind of wearing like, you know, usual day-to-day clothes. Yeah. But then you have Playboy Cardi and these other artists, and they come out with like a certain brand, and they're all wearing like a certain type of shoe and boot. And you can go home and buy that. Like, sure, it's going to cost you like $4,000 for Prada boots. Yeah. But if you got the money and you want to be like in that crowd, then you can do it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's definitely stylistically the differences between hip hop and pop.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So, in the limited amount of time we have left, I guess let's talk about kind of, I feel like the elephant in the room that we've been ignoring the whole time is, in the beginning you said you don't just do TikTok interview content, you also kind of dabble in some music stuff as well. Yes. What's the deal with that? Because that's a whole other beast, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I don't know, man. For a bit I helped do some stuff with Skip the Boat, so that was Herman. Love you, Herman. And I met Herman on TikTok pretty much.
Yeah.
I saw his shirts, and so I was like, oh, I want to buy that. So I bought it, and then I messaged him, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna like wear this in my video. And he was like, oh, like, thank you for the support. So I just started wearing his clothes in my videos.
Yeah.
And he obviously appreciated the support. And so he came down to Christchurch last year in like March, I think. And he gave me like one of the it was the present tee that came out. And he gave it to me like 2 months or something before it dropped, because he was like recording like the whole like video and like photos for it. And so he gave me that, and I was like, oh shit, thank you. And he was like, oh, I want to do shows. And I was like, oh, shows? That's interesting for a clothing brand. And then I found out that Skip the Boat has been doing shows for years, and this is like a whole like thing that not many new people know. I don't know about it.
Yeah.
But like he'd been doing like backyard shows and stuff for ages.
Yeah.
And so then he said, I want to do it in Auckland, and I basically was like, yo, I'm gonna come. I'm down to help. So man, I lifted so many water bottles that day. I remember me and Herman, we had to park the car. It was on K Road in Auckland. We had to park the car. And there was boxes of hoodies and water bottles, and so I was just carrying these fucking hoodies and shit. And I was just basically like the tradie for the day. It was great. I was just doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And the first show was crazy. Like, it was a line of about like 300 people, and in my mind I had no idea what kind of pull this guy had.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know who's gonna show up to this.
Yeah.
And like, sure, it's a free show, but like, are people actually gonna show up? And then I remember just coming out and like seeing the line. I was like, oh shit. And I know like it was a crazy night for everyone. We were like, whoa, what the fuck? And then after that we had the Wellington show, and then kind of after the Wellington show I stopped like helping so much, because I would say like I helped, but like at the same time Herman is a train, like he organizes everything, and I'm just kind of there to like help in any way possible. Like if you need that done, I'm doing it. If you're doing that, like I tried to do some content as well, like interviewing the artists that came, and line interviews with some of the fans and stuff. And then, they did Christchurch Hamilton. Hamilton was the last one we did with DC the Don. I didn't really do much that one. I did some interviews and helped out where I could. But at that point, like, he's got his group, and they all, like, work really well together. And so, and him and I have different visions when doing a show. And so, like, it sometimes clashes. So, and it's his show, so... In the end, like, I've kind of stopped doing that, and I'm just kind of focusing on, like, what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience. Like, I love doing all those shows with him. Like, he's a crazy hard worker.
Oh, yeah.
Like, his hustle is insane. That man would... I remember it was one morning, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and this motherfucker was on the end of my bed. I'm sleeping at his house, and he's on the end of my bed, typing on his computer. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, one of the flights for the artist got cancelled. I'm like, why are you awake? Why are we doing this now? And he's like rebooking a flight for this guy. And I was just like, okay, man, you do your thing.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a workaholic, like always stressing. But he's good at what he does. No one else is doing this in New Zealand.
And hey, it's working.
Yeah, exactly.
It's working.
Yeah, it's good to see someone who cares about the culture like he does, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting to see kind of the dynamic, because, there'll be models and influencers and people who have, hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, on TikTok, blah, 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 blah. And they'll try do something. They'll try sell a product or try do an event, and like 3 people show up.
Yeah.
And so it's so telling, like, how much culture, how Skip the Boat's like integrated into our culture.
Yeah.
Where I feel like in the grand scheme of things, their following numbers are still like relatively low when it comes to a brand. But they do a show, they do a giveaway, they sell a shirt, and people like show up.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's actually insane to me that those numbers, like 20K, I think it's like nearly 30K on TikTok, which is low on TikTok. Yeah. But still, like, he manages to transfer these people over to become buyers, and like they invest themselves in this culture. Like, he's just done his tour that he's doing, and I'm pretty sure he's basically sold it out in like under like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's like 200 people, like a venue.
Yeah.
And it's giving their money to that show. So that's crazy that he's been able to like build that fan base, because that is incredibly hard to do, especially with a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, like definitely. A clothing brand. Like, how do you make someone care about a clothing brand?
And everyone wants to start a clothing brand.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone wants to start a clothing brand.
Yeah.
So,
Every white guy in his basement is like, I can sell shirts, and they do, and they're like, why did only one person buy it?
Yeah, exactly.
And this guy's just out here hustling.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
Okay, well, I guess the final question that I wanted to round things out with. As an experienced interviewer, content creator, etc., what do you feel like I could have done better in this conversation that would have brought out better answers, more, or made the dynamic better?
I'm not gonna lie, you came up with some crazy questions. Like, I was just kind of yarning for like a good 2 minutes, then you asked me something else, I was like, oh, that was like, oh, that's a really like insightful question. Damn. Oh, fuck, that's hard, man. No, you did really well.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, well done. No, that was really good. Probably did better than me. Shit. I don't really have anything not really. Because, like, when I looked at your paper, I was like, that's not many questions.
Yeah.
But you've come up with quite a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you especially on the fly, and something like, and really insightful as well, like talking about the culture of hip hop. Because most people just, when they interview me, they ask about numbers, biggest video, who's your biggest cosign, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, all right, we're done talking about you, but it's like it's good that you asked for like the insight of what I think about the culture and what my views on it, because I'm very heavily invested in it, and that's definitely something I can give my take on, but like no one's really asked me that. So you did ask me some questions that no one's ever asked me before.
Okay, then, well, that's good.
Yeah, so that's very good.
Yeah, I know. I just like listening to podcasts and like trying to like pay attention to what like other people are doing. Do you get like kind of irritated, especially when you like someone, you like an influencer, you like an artist, and you listen to them being interviewed multiple places.
Yeah.
And not that there's anything wrong with like saying the same thing, answering the same questions, because they were said in a different way, express it differently. But it's like, being like, oh, what's your biggest video? It's like, I can like go on my phone, sort by popular. Like anyone can see that.
Anyone can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, okay, let me reframe the question then. What are some of the things that you would think about when you're interviewing people, that you would keep in mind or write down beforehand, or like, or even like when you're going back doing the edits, things that you would like, maybe I should cut here, take this part out, maybe I should, like, what kind of did you keep in mind during that process?
I don't edit my podcast. Shout out to Will, who does that for me. Okay. That's my camera guy and editor. He's a legend, bro. I can just show up and he just does it all out.
Yeah.
But when it comes to questions, I feel that, especially when I did my little bubblegum interview, I've been listening to him for years. But at the same time, I hadn't dived back into like his whole discography. And so when I was going to interview him, I was watching music videos, I was looking up like old posts, I was looking at old things that he had done, because it is kind of hard if you have someone like me who you don't have like any like information on the internet. Like if you look at my name, you'll see a bunch of videos.
Yeah.
But there's no like part of me giving out a bit of information about myself, and you can be like, oh, I could take that and do this with it. But with him, like, I just dove back into all his music, and I could see that his sound was changing in a way, and I was like, okay, well, why is this important to you? Why are you going that lane? Why aren't you sticking to what people like that's popular?
Yeah.
And so caring a lot about the person you're interviewing is especially important. Like, just giving them all your attention, and, I mean, as you should, like, when you're interviewing. But, yeah, I think that's probably the main focus. It's just the research and making sure that they feel like they're important to you, and then when they leave, then it doesn't matter. That's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's what I have for you.
Damn, that's great.
Anything you wanna shout out, plug?
Nah, just shout out Luke. Love you, man. That's about it, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.